and begin. So good afternoon and welcome again to English. To the past few days, we have been talking about adjectives, and then we were talking about verbs, verb 1 and verb 2. Today, we will talk more about nouns. So we've talked about adjectives and verbs, and today nouns. So the two nouns we will talk about today are countable nouns and uncountable nouns. This may seem easy as you have similar things in Thai, similar countable nouns and uncountable nouns. But it can be difficult. English does different things for countable and uncountable nouns. So we will talk a little bit about that today. So to start, so we talked about adjectives and verbs. Adjectives are words to describe nouns. Verbs are actions that nouns will do or have done to them. But today we will just talk about nouns. So nouns are things that you can touch. You can usually touch with your hands. Before we talked about adjectives. So an adjective is like red. You cannot touch red. It is an adjective. You cannot touch tall or short or fat. These are words you can't touch. And same with verbs, such as swim or run or dance. You can't touch swim. You can't touch run or dance. Nouns are things that you can touch with your hands. So some simple examples of nouns. So places, a city like Bangkok or Phichit, a country like Thailand or Canada, America, Japan, or things like a hospital or a school or a store, 7-Eleven, things like this. These are nouns, these are places. Another type of noun is things. Now there are many different things. A dog, an apple, a pencil, a TV, a telephone. There are many, many different things, all things that you can touch with your hands. But there is one more type of noun that is quite difficult many times for students to see that they are nouns. And these are abstract nouns. So we will not talk much about this today, but it becomes more important in grade 6 and in Matthew, you will learn more about these. These are nouns that you cannot touch. So most nouns you can touch, but abstract nouns you cannot touch. So I will give you a few examples of these. So the first one is love. Now love can also be a verb or a noun. So I can have love for you, then it is a noun. Or I love you is a verb. But you can't touch love, but it can be a noun. Also time. You cannot touch a minute or an hour, a day. You cannot touch these, but these are nouns. And one more is you can change adjectives to nouns by adding ness. So cold is an adjective, but coldness is a noun, but you cannot touch coldness. It is similar to an adjective cold. You cannot touch it. Same with happiness. You cannot touch happiness. It is just changing the adjective of happy to a noun. And so we add ness. But we will not talk about abstract nouns today. Today we will talk more about things because they are mostly countable and uncountable nouns. Oh, another abstract is beauty. So like the adjective beautiful can be changed to beauty. There is no beautifulness, beauty, if you're talking about a person. Okay, so today, talk about countable and uncountable nouns. Countable, not die. Uncountable, not my die. This is very simple in the beginning. We will start with very easy countable nouns, then we will discuss easy uncountable nouns. But to finish today, we will discuss difficult situations that are not easy. Sometimes you don't know if it's countable or uncountable. Sometimes it's countable and uncountable. So these are difficult situations. I'll talk a little bit about today. So a countable noun is a thing that can be counted. Many things are like this, like a pencil or a phone, a TV, a bag, a bed, a house. You can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So other things like animals. If you have 5 dogs, you can count 1 dog, 2 dog, 3 dog, 4 dog, 5 dog. You can count them. Or pens. Maybe you have 2 pens, 1 pen, 2 pens. Or trees or flowers. You can look out your window and count 1, 2, 3 trees. Or parts of your body, your hands. You have 2 hands, 2 eyes, 1 nose, 1 head, 3 ears, or 2 ears. So things like this you can count. These are all countable nouns. So these are some rules. In Thai, there's not much difference between countable and uncountable nouns. Usually they have similar sentence structure. With English, we use singular and plural. So English matters a lot if you have one or more than one. So for countable and uncountable nouns, it is important so that you can use the right verb, you can use the right words to ask about something or to tell about something, because we will change if it's countable or uncountable. So first, I will go through countable noun rules. So they can be plural or singular. Plural means more than one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1 million, 1 billion, anything 2 or more. Singular means one. So things that you can count, like a pencil. You can have 1 pencil, or you can have 2, 3, 4, 5. Countable nouns, you can have more than 2 or just 1. 2 or more or just 1. They can be expressed. You can say them or write them as an amount. 5 pens, 20 boxes, 6 TVs, 22 phones. You can say a number that you have of them. And verbs. Verbs are conjugated based on singular or plural. Conjugate means you change the verb. So if you remember with verb 1, for he, she, it, we add an S. That is conjugate. That's to conjugate a verb. It's a big word, but I think you already know. So verb to be, conjugate verb to be, you can say is or are. There is an apple. If you have 1 apple, you can say there is an apple. If you have 2 or more, 2, 3, 5, 20, 1,000, then there are apples. So it can be both, is and are. You can have both with countable nouns. And to ask about how much you have, no, how many you have, sorry, countable nouns is how many. If you want to know the amount, how many. If you want to ask about if there is some, is there any? Is there any? Use the verb is. Is there any? No, are there any? I'm getting confused. Countable nouns, you say, are there any? So an uncountable noun is a thing that you cannot count. You cannot have 2 or 3 or 4. You cannot. So an example is water. If I ask you, how much water is in Bong Si Phai? You cannot tell me 1 water or 2 water, 3 water. No, you cannot. You can just say water. Same with sugar. You cannot count sugar. Or salt or love. Love is an example of an abstract noun. You can't say I have 1 love for you. I have 6 love for you. No. You cannot count it. So these are rules about uncountable nouns. So the rules will be similar but different from countable. So they can only be singular. If you talk about water, you will never add an S to water. Waters, you cannot say waters or salts. Not add an S to these words. Uncountable nouns will not be plural. Okay. And next, they can't be expressed as an amount. You can't say 6 waters. One says they can't be singular. You can't have an S on water. You also can't have a number in front of waters. 6 waters, 10 waters. You cannot say this. And so verbs you use singular. So is there water? There is water. You cannot say there are water. You cannot say like this. You must use is. So you use verbs as singular, not as plural. So if you're using a different verb one, you will add an S. So water stays in the ocean. You'll add an S. Stays, not stay. And to ask about an amount, you will say how much. So countable, you say how many. Uncountable, how much. How many, you will be given a number, 5, 6, 7, 20. How much, you can be given a number plus another word, a measure word, like 4 liters, 10 kilograms, 8 grams. You can have a number with a measure word, but you cannot just have a number. If I say, how much salt do you have? You cannot say 6. I have 6. You cannot say that. So we use much, not many. So this brings me to measure words. These are words that allow us to count uncountable nouns. And these are countable nouns. So if you have an uncountable with a countable noun, then you can count the countable nouns. If that makes sense, I will go through some examples to show you what I mean when I say this. So if you have these words, you treat it the same as the noun and the countable noun. You treat it the same as the countable noun. Okay, so I will explain. I'll go through this slowly for you. So how you will say this in a sentence is with a countable noun, you will just say the amount and then the countable noun. But with an uncountable noun plus a measure word, now you can use an amount. So first you will say the amount, then the measure word, and then the uncountable noun. So I'll go through some examples with you. It's similar to Thai, but the word order is a little bit different. So I think I'll talk about water first. Water. So water is an uncountable noun. You can't count it. But bottles are a countable measure word. So we can count bottles instead of water. We can't count water, but we can count bottles. So if we put it together, then we can start to count. So I'll show you. So in English, we would say, I have 3 bottles of water. So this is different than Thai, similar, but different. In Thai, you would say, I have water 3 bottles. ฉันมีน้ำ3 ขวด. But in English, you will say the number and the measure word first. So ฉันมี3 ขวดน้ำ of น้ำ. You don't have a word of in Thai. So I have 3 bottles of water. So I'll go through another example. So salt. Salt again is uncountable. You cannot count salt. But if you have a bag, you can count bags. So that's a countable measure now. So you can say there are 4 bags of salt. Again, it's different than in Thai. In Thai, you would say salt first. So you'd say there are salt 4 bags. But in English, we don't say like that. The word order is different. There are 4 bags of salt. So here, the amount is 4. The measure word is bag. And then this is an uncountable noun. So it could be 4 kilograms of salt, if your measure is kilogram, or it could be 4 boxes of salt, 4 packs of salt. There are different measure words that can be used, but it would all have the same sentence structure. The amount first, the number, and then the measure word, whatever it is, and then the uncountable noun will be last. Okay? So if no measure word is used, if you want to know about salt or water, but you don't know, is it a bottle? Is it a bag? Maybe you don't know. So you can say, I have water, there is salt. You can say this, but it's not usually. Usually you will use another word in place of a measure word to describe how much you have of it. So I'll go through just 3 of these. If you have a little bit, if you have a medium amount, or if you have a lot, I'll go through these words. So first, if there is no measure word, often words some, a lot of, or a little bit are used. Usually you will use a word some. Some is in the middle. I have some salt, I have some water. If there is a lot, like the ocean has a lot of water. Or maybe there's just a little bit. There's a little bit of sugar, not much, just a little bit. You can use these words in place of measuring nouns and amounts. So we can look at this sentence. So before, I have 4 bags of salt. 4 bags. You can just write a word like this, some, instead of 4 bags. I have some salt. I have 4 bags of salt. The ocean has 1 million liters of water. You can change 1 million. There's more than that, but I don't know how many. But it has a lot of water. So you can just change the amount plus the measure word to just one of these words. Some, a lot, or a little. Okay, so the next slide we'll talk about, first, these words are used as the amount and measure, yes, as I just said to you. So next we can practice a little bit. So next I will show you pictures of nouns, and you can write, are they countable or uncountable? I will just show you five pictures. So you can write in the chat if you think they are countable or uncountable. So first one, pillow. Pillow. If you don't know what a pillow is, I'll show you a picture. This is a pillow. Something you sleep on. Is this countable or uncountable? Yes. We will check to see. Can we count? Yes. 1, 2, 3 pillows. You can count. So this is countable. Pillows. You can have an S on top of pillows. So next one. How about pig? You don't know what a pig is. This is a pig. So is this countable or uncountable? What do you think? Can you count or can you not count? Here you can see there are 1 pig, 2 pig. So there are pigs. You can have an S. So there are 2 pigs. So that means it is countable. Yes, correct. How about the next one? Rice. Can you count rice? What do you think? Is countable or uncountable? Yes, Nana. This is uncountable. You can add a word like bag, which would be a measure noun. So you can say, I have 1 bag of rice. And the bag is countable, but the rice is uncountable. Correct? Uncountable. How about coffee? Can you count coffee? You think is countable or uncountable? Yes, Nana, again. Yes, so again, you can use a measure noun, like a cup of coffee, 1 cup of coffee, 2 cups of coffee. But it's the cup that is countable, not coffee. We cannot count coffee. It is uncountable. How about fruit? Can you count fruit? Countable or uncountable? Nana says countable. Fruit is an unusual one. I put it last. This is the last one we'll guess at. Fruit is actually uncountable. So there are certain fruits. Apples are countable. Strawberries are countable. Apples are countable. Grapes are countable. Mangoes are countable. You can count certain fruits, yes, but not fruit. All fruit together is uncountable. You cannot say, I have 1 fruit, I have 6 fruit. You cannot say that. You can say, I have 6 apples, I have 6 strawberries, but not fruit. Fruit is a group of all of them together. So we cannot count fruit. This is a little bit difficult, but it's just the group. If you can think of the group of all fruits together, you cannot count it. Okay, so now we will start talking a little bit about the difficult ones. So some nouns, mostly food nouns, it's mostly about food, can be difficult because they can be both countable and uncountable. So I'll try to explain the difference and when to have countable and when to have uncountable. I'll try to explain, but it is not easy and you have to practice with countable and uncountable nouns to figure it out. So usually, if you eat part of something, it will be uncountable. If you eat the whole thing, it will be countable. So as an example, maybe pumpkin. Pumpkin, you don't eat a whole pumpkin. You don't eat all. You just eat some of it. So that's uncountable. Another one would be a strawberry. You eat the whole strawberry. You don't eat just and then put away. You eat it all, usually. So then it would be countable. So I will try to go through some of these that are both. Oh, I think I will just give you examples first. So usually you don't eat a whole cake. Cake is another thing. You don't eat all the cake. No, you only eat part of the cake. So cake is uncountable. You say, I ate 2 pieces of cake. Pieces would be a measuring noun. So 2 pieces, or I ate some cake. So the cake is uncountable, usually. But I'll go in some, it can be also be countable. And I'll go through later about that. But examples of often uncountable nouns. So bread, chicken, pork, pineapple, pizza, and any kind of liquid. If it's soup, juice, jam, or butter, even if it's a little bit liquid, liquid is like noun. So anything that is liquid and can move is uncountable. Now, some of these uncountable nouns are always uncountable. Some are both countable and uncountable. So I will go through example of chicken can be both, pineapple can be both, and pizza can be both. Bread is always uncountable. Pork, always uncountable. And liquids are always uncountable. So I will go through examples of chicken and pineapple. I'll give you two examples to try to explain how they are both countable and uncountable. It really means, it depends what you're talking about. If you're talking about part of something or a whole thing. First, I will go through a countable example of a countable noun, a sandwich. You eat the whole sandwich, usually. So it's not like you just take one bite and it is enough for one person to eat. So you can say, I ate a sandwich, I ate 2 sandwiches, I ate 3 sandwiches. You don't say, I ate some sandwiches. No. So uncountable nouns being countable, this is difficult. So some uncountable nouns are always uncountable. Like I told you, bread, liquids, or pork. But some are both cake, pizza, pineapple, chicken. So first I will go through example of chicken. Okay, so you don't eat a whole chicken in a meal. You don't eat a whole chicken. So if you want to talk about what you eat, it is uncountable. If you buy chicken in a store, it can be both. So I'll explain. If you buy part of a chicken, if you buy a chicken wing or chicken breast, it is uncountable. But if you buy the whole chicken, it is countable. Or if you're a farmer and you raise chickens, you grow chickens from eggs to being adults, and then you sell to a store, then they are countable because you're talking about the whole animal. So it is countable. So I'll show you pictures to try to show you the difference. So first, countable. If you have whole chickens, this is a live chicken, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 chickens. This is countable. Also, you go to the store and buy a whole chicken. It's missing its head, but basically a whole chicken, it is still countable. But if you go to the store and you buy part of a chicken, okay, like chicken breast, there's only a little bit of the chicken. So then this becomes uncountable. Or if you have chicken legs, this is uncountable. Uncountable chicken. You can use a measure word like legs, and you can say there are 7 chicken legs, 7 legs of chicken, but you can't say there's 7 chickens. That would mean there's 7 whole chickens, and these are just parts of chickens. So if it's a part, it's uncountable. If it's a whole, then it's countable. I'll go through another example quickly because we're running out of time. So pineapple. Pineapple is a tricky one too. It's difficult. So if you go to a fruit stand and you want to have a snack and eat pineapple, they will peel it and cut it and give to you so you can eat. In that sense, it is uncountable. If you buy pineapple peeled and cut in a store like Tesco, it's uncountable. But if you buy a whole pineapple in a store, then it's countable. If you are a farmer who grows pineapples and you have 100 pineapples, they are countable because you have a whole pineapple, whole pineapples. So again, I'll show you pictures. So this is a countable pineapple is a whole pineapple. This is not countable. This is uncountable. And to make it more difficult, pineapple is a little bit tricky. I'll show you again. Uncountable. This is uncountable. Even though it's almost a whole pineapple, it is peeled and cut and ready to eat. So it's uncountable in this sense. Pizza. Pizza is another one that's uncountable. For what you eat, but maybe you have to give pizza to 20 people. Then you have whole pizzas. Then it would be countable. You can buy 6 pizzas. It's countable then. But if you just have a piece of pizza, then pizza is uncountable. So last thing for today, I will go through uncountable nouns that can't be countable. This will be quick. So bread. Bread can be loaves or pieces, things like this. Bread always has a measuring noun with it. Pork and beef are always uncountable because if you talk about the whole animal, then you would say pig or cow, not pork or beef. So pork and beef are the English words for pigs and cows that we eat. So it's always uncountable. Okay. So that's all for today. So I can say hello and goodbye. I know this is not easy, especially when they can be both countable and uncountable. But try to remember, if it's a whole of one thing, it's countable. If it's a part of something, it's uncountable. Okay, so goodbye and see you on Monday. Bye.